Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome to round 2 of the Nordic F3 Championship here on Apex Racing TV, live from Austin in Texas at the Circuit of the Americas. The circuit was the first circuit in the USA to be purpose-built for Formula 1, and it's gone on to host all of the major championships in recent years: MotoGP, IMSA, NASCAR, IndyCars, the FIA World Endurance Championships, and even the V8 Supercars from Australia. And that's helped to ensure that this track is one of the busiest in North America. However, tonight we see the Dallara F3s take to the circuit. I'm Tim Cox. We got Dennis Branch in the production booth with operating the cameras and making all the magic happen behind the scenes. But right now, I'm joined by Seb Bosher-Williams. Seb, let's just quickly talk about Spa 2 weeks ago. We saw pretty dominant display, let's be honest, from Torp.
We certainly did. I mean, winning both races, he was so quick, and he had this sort of ability to overtake anybody and everybody. Nobody was safe from him, and are we going to see that again tonight? He was so good at overtaking at Spa, and this track, it is easier to make those overtakes, so will we see even more dominance from him? Only time will tell. But what a track we've got today. It's such a technical track. I mean, just look at the camera angle we're seeing now, how much elevation we've got. Of course, we've got the famous turn 1. Such a good overtaking opportunity, especially at the start of the race. But I mean, it's not one of my favorite tracks to drive, but it's certainly one of my favorite tracks to watch racing on.
As you mentioned, turn 1, it's open, wide, and ripe for the picking when it comes to overtakes, providing you're close enough to the car in front of you. I'm sure it's definitely going to be a hotbed of action up there, and of course down the back straight as well, a big braking zone into there. It's definitely going to be one to watch out for during the 2 races that we're bringing you today. First off, we've got a 15-minute race and then a slight break, and then into a half an hour long race which involves pit stops, something a bit unusual for F3, so keep an eye out for that one. Also, Seb, just got qualifying underway at the moment. Drivers just started to take to their first flying laps. Just watching Nielsen here. I've lost my train of thought there, Seb. They'll come back to me, I'm sure. Yeah, of course. Yes, obviously off tracks. We were talking about them and before the show, and COTA's very, very easy to pick up off tracks on, and of course the incident point limit for this race before the drivers incur a drive-through penalty set at just 12x. So 12 off tracks, getting 1x for each of them, as we've seen Nilsson finding the curbs there and having a good old bounce across them. That's not going to do the floor of that F3 any good whatsoever. I mean, I get the feeling, maybe not so much in race 1, of course, you know, being 15 minutes, roughly about a 2-minute lap time, so you're talking about 7 laps roughly. But I think race 2 could be interesting, especially if you have a little bit of contact and, you know, even if it's just, you know, banging tyres so it incurs a 4x penalty, that's already a third of the way towards your drive-through.
It certainly is. I think you make a really interesting point, and I think certainly for race 2, that's going to be the overarching narrative of the race, is who can keep it the cleanest, who can not be involved in those 4x's and those, you know, even like a spin is 2x, and it all adds up very, very quickly. So it's who has that consistency. And actually, it's really good that it's consistent. It was exactly the same at Spa, and of course Spa used to be quite difficult for off tracks, and we were talking to some of the drivers after the race and they were saying actually how much they were having to manage it there. So around here they're going to have to be so vigilant, and also to add like another sort of add another bit of spice to the mix. So unlike sort of other F3 leagues that we see, this is all a private qualifying session, which means that everybody's out on track by themselves. So when they sort of start the race for the first time, they've almost forgotten how to drive in dirty air. It's going to be a shock for them, especially going through turns 2, 3, 4 and 5, that sort of like Silverstone-esque section. It's going to be so easy in the dirty air just to sort of pick up 1 or 2x, and you're right, I mean, that's like a sixth of your total already. So it's just this sort of extra dynamic that just makes the racing even more fun, as Thomas Torp continues his dominance, and he's straight to the top of the timing stands there.
He is, and I think one driver definitely to watch out for, currently in third right now, Anders Meyer. Took pole last time out. We were watching, obviously, during the practice session at Spa as well. Electric 1-lap pace, but just didn't quite come together during the race. And again, in practice, just before qualifying side, and he's topping the timing sheets then. Again, he's right at the top of the list as well. During qualifying at the moment, has only done 1 lap so far out of the 4 available to the drivers, and well, definitely going on a quicker lap as well. I think he's got to be one driver to keep an eye out for. If he can string it together, and I think if he can get out in front come turn 1, I think potentially we could see him disappear off into the distance.
I think you're right. I mean, he had stunning 1-lap pace at Spa and got almost caught out by his amazing qualifying performance, because that left him vulnerable to the slipstream, which isn't that powerful around here today, at least not for the start of the race. You've got quite a complex section to go before you have your first sort of long sort of straight where you can gain the advantage. So I think you're right. I think if he, he's about 5/10 off. Actually, scrap that. He's now pole position, or provisional pole, with 600 of a second ahead of Thomas Torp. So wow, he's now in the perfect position. He's got, nobody ahead of him. If he could defend into turn 1, like you're saying, I think he has a really good shot, because his pace at Spa was really good. He just sort of got, well, he sort of fell away from him for a while, but I think if he could stay out in the lead, he's got incredible 1-lap pace.
See Scarrett just head up into 4th place there from 7th. If that gets up onto the 2nd row of the grid. 2 attempts covering our top 4. Wow, it's Torp. Absolutely, well, like a torpedo, catapults well ahead of Meyer there. Half a second clear of the field. What a lap from Thomas Torp, carrying that momentum from last time out of the Spa fully into COTA here, Seb. That's a wow, just blown away the field as Larson responds instantly to go within 3 attempts, but that's only good enough for the front row of the grid. It seems to be rubbering in, and the fuel level starts to fall off as well. But even so, that's a blistering lap.
That certainly is, and that really sort of throws down the marker to the other drivers. I'm sure if you're watching the results page and you see Torp go that quick, it's very disheartening, especially mid-qualifying session. That is an insane lap time from Thomas Torp. He is really using that momentum, as you said, Tim, from Spa and applying it perfectly here tonight. And, you know, even if the track is improving, Larson, I mean, you put in a very good lap time, but he's still almost 4/10 behind Torp, right? So it just goes to show Torp is in a league of his own at the moment. And Maya, we'll see what he does on this lap. He's probably not going to have chance for another lap, Maya. So he's crossing the line now. Does he manage to improve on his time? It doesn't look like he did. I think he might just get this final lap in. It will be a little bit nip and tuck. But yes, this is Maya's final opportunity if he wants that pole position, or at least to start on the front row.
It definitely is indeed. And I tell you what, one driver keep half an eye out for. He's had off track so far on all of his laps, so he hasn't set a time. Is Isaacson currently at the bottom of the field? So expect to see if he can just get a lap in. He'll catapult up the timing sheets as Andreasen heads up into 14th there. Good lap from him. Torp has headed to the pits, so he won't be improving. Likewise, Hendon and Scarrett won't be either. They've locked in their times. It's whether they can get potentially leapfrogged in these dying stages of qualifying. Well, Jakobsdottir will not be improving. She's had a good spin there out of the final corner. It's okay, isn't it, Seb? You know, you put in, you know, a really good lap. She was improving as well. You see from those green sectors there. And then for it all come undone out of the last corner. It's just soul-destroying at times, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. All the sympathy goes to her because, yeah, we've all done it. We've all, you know, and it's almost like a bit of a drug being up on your delta time because you think, well, maybe I'll have a little bit more grip in the car, and you sort of apply that throttle a little bit earlier. You might catch the curb. There's, you know, 101 reasons why you'll end up spinning, but, you know, especially when the pressure's on, it's the final lap in qualifying. I always think it's better to try it and see, because if you manage to get a good run out, you know, you might gain some time. But yeah, I mean, we're just seeing the drivers push to the absolute limit as this is their final lap. Interestingly, Isaacson, you mentioned that he didn't manage to set a lap time. He had off tracks on all of his previous laps. He's up to 3rd place, so great recovery from Isaacson, as I do believe that is qualifying over.
Yeah, that is qualifying done and dusted. Let's run you through your grid. Well, it's an IGL Coatings lockout for the front row with Torp and Larson occupying those top 2 slots with their teammate Isaacson in 3rd. Anders Meyer, he's starting alongside him on the 2nd row of the grid. Then we've got another IGL's Coatings row making up of Hendon and Scarrett with their teammate Jakob Behrens just behind him in 7th. He's got Grebstrad with him on the 4th row. Gessenbacher and Gullikson, mate, round out your top 10. And the 5th row of the grid. Then we've got Sorensen and De Quattro taking you up to 12th place. Then it's Benedictson and Nielsen on the 7th row of the grid with Peterson and Andreasen on the 8th row. And then on the 9th row, we've got Jokkelsen and Jakobsdottir, who saw her just spin on that final corner there. So unlucky. Was on an improving lap. She could well have maybe moved up a few places. Absalanda and Tveten take it on the 10th row and up to 20th place. Then it's Haig and Ryan, Rue and Haraldson, with Asgard and Loffers making up the last complete row, and Jensen running at your 27-car grid here in Austin, Texas. For what, Seb? I think it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride of the first few laps, and, well, I think potentially maybe for the whole of race 1, with it being, of course, the sprint race of the 2. You haven't got time to hang around, hence why it's called a sprint race.
You certainly haven't. And of course, the top 8 does get reversed, so anybody sort of in that sort of like 9th to sort of like 12th, 13th position are racing for race 2 pole position. So you're going to see a lot of action in the midfield, a lot of action out the front. Torp and Larson and Isaacson, your top 3, very quick. Torp had the 1 lap pace, but does he have that consistency over the entire race distance? This is certainly one that you don't want to go anywhere for.
It certainly is. Just everyone has taken to the grid, and here come the lights. And let's get ready to go racing in the Nordic F3 Championship from Austin, Texas. Oh no, someone's jumped the start there. I think it's Scarrett already. He's going to have a penalty for that one. Drama already before we've even got going. So we head up to turn 1 for the first time. And Torp is going to get the whole shot into turn 1, but Larson trying to find a way around. They're going to have 3 wide on the exit. Will they just about back out? Meyer having to resist, but he's squeezing through on the inside to nip past Isaacson. And he's going to swoop down as we come through turns 3 and 4. And he's got himself up a place, up into third. A cracking start from him as we just see all the midfield students come through now. Hendon's not had the best of starts. He's down 2 places into 7th, but what progress can Meyer make now? That's the question we need to be asking ourselves, Seb. But I mean, look at the start. Well, look at the lead. Torp's already got 7/10 of a second. He's managed to pull out, as we're just seeing in the background there. Grebstrad just heading up the inside of Scarrett there. Wow. Well, what? Oh, no, there's contact in the background. 2 cars sent flying ground. Oh no, this Jokkelsen is one of them. I think it was Andreasen, the other driver. And yes, it was Henrik Andreasen. Broken suspension. He's going to have to go to the pits, but Meyer's on the attack here down the end of the back straight. We said about that being a big overtaking opportunity due to it being a big braking zone after a high-speed section. And Meyer making progress 2 places up on the opening lap. You couldn't hope for much better than that, Seb.
Certainly couldn't, and he'll be eyeing that P1 that Torp currently holds. And yeah, a great start from Meyer, really sort of using that slipstream to his advantage as all of the drivers in the midfield sorting their positions round the outside. Goes Pettersson onto Viton there. Great move there. Oh, he's just connected. A little bit scary for Viton in the 007 car. Oh, what's happened to Scarrett and Sorensen? Are they in the pits? Doesn't look like it on our timing scans.
I think Scarrett's come off track somewhere. He might have had a bit of a moment here. Let's take a look. Maybe the replay will give us some answers on this one. So they come down into the final corner. Oh, there's contact. There's contact. And that's what sent Scarrett spinning. Really, really, well, gutting for him is that start, but wow. As things just start to semi-settle down on lap 2. Behrens hunting down Grebstrad as we ride on board with the IGL Coatings driver as we head through the S's and start to open up the car now, just really start to push it forward. We've got the braking zone once again here. It's so crucial, Seb, to get this corner right because it's such a long run out of 11 down to 12. It's one of the longest straights that we've got on the calendar.
It is. It's so crucial, and you'll see drivers into the braking zone of turn 11 sort of move around and sort of take the opposite line to the driver ahead, just sort of hoping that you can get a better run out. This is Sorensen on Benediktsson down the inside into turn 12. Sorensen struggling to get that move done, but yeah, this is the hotbed of action for tonight. And that corner turn 11 is so crucial. If you lock a brake there, if you get a little bit of oversteer, it hurts you for so long down the straight. And you're going to see cars go past you, and especially because the pack is so tight here, you're not just going to lose 1 position, you're going to lose 2, 3, or even 4. So really watch out for that. And interestingly here, Anders Meyer not really been able to catch up to Thomas Torp. Actually, I lie. The gap was out to about 1.1 seconds. The gap is down to about 5/10, and Isaacson there setting the fastest lap of the race. So this is certainly one to watch.
It's definitely game on between these 3 as Meyer and Isaacson catch up. That's Scarrett heading to the pits. Now, I believe it was him who made the jump start on the grid, so that's going to be serving his penalty. Just see a bit of a battle here going up into turn 1. Haig on the inside and getting a bit nervous there on the cars on the outside. Plays it safe and not able to get the move done, but now he's under a lot of pressure as Jokimsdotter makes the move there. That's not the best of starts for her. The Icelandic driver down a couple of places from where she started. But now right on to the back of Haig. It's right in front of her, and she'll be looking to get that 19th place off Haig, and then start to chase down Rue, who's trying to pull away, but talking about pulling away. Top three now extending their gap over Larson in fourth. That's out to about 1.8 seconds. They are now clear as here comes Meyer, challenging Torp for the lead. Down into turn 12 as he swoops down from the outside. And this could well be the lead for the first time at COTA. And it is for Meyer. A great opening set of laps from him. Started fourth by what is going to be the end of lap 2. He's now up into first. And what has Torp and Isaacson got in response to him, Seb?
I don't think a lot at the moment. Meyer just has this sort of ability to sort of place the car wherever he wants, and it just sticks. As I think we've had a three-way incident down into turn 12. We're watching at a replay. This is Del Quattro now, the number 013 car. Oh, and he's lost the brakes. Oh, and that's... Oh, and that's why we have the halo in newer cars, and they're having somewhat of a disagreement on the apex of turn 12. Don't think I've really seen that before in a race.
No, definitely some frustration maybe coming out there, but Meyer, I tell you what, while we're just watching that, he is pulling away with a bit of a drift out of turn 1 there. He's extended the gap to sort to around about nearly 6/10 of a second, really to starting to drop the two IGL Coatings drivers behind him, Torp and Isaacson, as they follow through the tight technical sections that pretty much run from turn 2 all the way up to turn 9. This is combinations of right, left. It's so crucial that you get your momentum right through there as we head down the hill towards turn 11. Who's going to get the best exit out of here? But who is going to come out on top? Coming in the straight down to turn 12. But you can see Meyer, he's moving around. He's desperate to break the slipstream, but here comes Isaacson. He's locked in. He's locked on to the back of Torp, and Torp looks really vulnerable right now. Isaacson pulls out the slipstream, and he's going to even tuck back in to get the move done before they've even got anywhere close to the apex there, Seb. Wow, he really carried so much speed out of turn 11.
That was so much speed. I wonder if there was sort of a bit of synchronized swimming between the two teammates there, because Isaacson had just so much extra speed than Torp. I don't think I've really seen sort of that pace difference on the straight before. So unless Torp is running some very unique gearing, I think he just didn't have the pace. And for good measure, Torp was very slippery on the exit of turn 11, and that compromised his run all the way down into turn 12 and allowed Isaacson to take that position. And now this is the key for this race. What is Isaacson's response to Meyer's? Meyer has been absolutely just in a league of his own. He sets another fastest lap on this lap. Isaacson now needs to really dig deep, but will Torp accept his teammate being ahead of him? Will he sort of work with Isaacson to catch Meyer? Or does Torp really want that second place? There is a lot of dynamics in this race. Also, a quick update on Joachim Stotter. She has been in the pits along with Jokkelsen, so not sure what happened there, but two drivers in the pits. Of course, this is not the race where you have to take your pit stop.
Well, interestingly, Seb, look who they're coming up onto the back of our lead three. It's another IGL Coatings car. I think that's a Lasse Sorensen they're currently coming up onto the back of. Maybe going to be a bit of Team Taxis here, because Meyer is clear. He is out of slipstream range of the two following cars of Isaacson and Torp. As you see, Meyer just tucking right in behind, trying to get as much slipstream off of the 80 car there of Sorensen, who's just moved out of the way, doesn't want to be a part of this fight whatsoever, but Meyer's saying, thank you very much. I'll take some of the drag from off you. But they catapult down this back straight and keeps hold of that second clear. So crucial, as mentioned, out of slipstream range, so much harder for Isaacson and Torp to mount an attack. And as you say, Seb, those two really need to work together. I mean, incidentally as well, these three were our podium from race 1 last time out. With the exception of Torp and Meyer, they were the opposite way around. Torp running out victor, Isaacson second, Meyer was third 2 weeks ago in race 1. As you see, Juster and Bakker here trying to get past Nielsen. Only well, they're both not far off Pettersson either. You see the red flashes on the timing tower on the top left-hand side of your screen. That's due to every time one of the drivers goes off track. That's what causes the red flash. So, as we mentioned, only 12 off tracks allowed around here. And that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, especially into race 2. We're already at 2/3 race distance. Maya leads from Isaacson, Torp, Larson, Grebstrap in 5th, then Hendon, Behrens, Gullickson, that crucial 8th place, looking comfortable as well there. Because for race 2, the grid is formed up with the race results from race 1, but the top 8 are inverted. They're swapped around, flipped on the head. Peterson and Nielsen rounding out your top 10. We see these guys battling it out, and I tell you what, they're not catching Seb. Meyer is inch by inch pulling away. He's pulled out another 10th over the course of the last lap. Maybe these guys will make that 2 tenths actually now.
Yeah, it's like a reverse of Spa when Maya had the excellent one-lap pace, but sort of struggled over the race distance. You know, you'd have to say that Maya didn't have the pace of Torp in qualifying, but in the race he has just been in the league of his own. Scarrett getting a quiver on the exit there of turn 5, and again he's just struggling with those rear tyres. Oh, and that's a great move there from Haraldson, pushing Jensen off. Obviously didn't get near him, but I think Jensen was looking in the rear of Mark.
Oh, hello. That's Haig.
That's not the direction you want to be pointing there. I think that's clearly these cars are a little bit traction limited coming out of turn 11. Will we see any more of that, especially as we head into race 2 with the longer distance, which means we've got tyre wear to think about as well. Jensen, though, coming back on Haraldson into turn 12. Who's going to get the upper hand? Haraldson breaks that a little bit later, and Jensen just sort of breaks a bit too early and has time to even pull in behind Haraldson there. There's racing going on up and down the field all of a sudden.
There is. It's come to life in these dying stages. Nearly 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes, in fact, remaining here. Just seeing Ryan and Benedictson here. Well, they need to be careful because Abisland's not far behind them either. And the more that they battle, that's just going to bring the 68 of Aslasland right into the mix. And on the last laps, the last thing you want, especially if you're Benedictson, who we're on board with right now, to have be trying to mount an attack while also looking in your mirrors at who's behind. But Benedictson heads to the high side. Oh, and round the outside at turn 1 in spectacular fashion and leaves Ryan for dead. What a move, Seb.
What a move indeed. If I had a top hat, I'd be tipping it to Benedictson. That was an incredible move. Managed to keep the car very stable around the outside of turn 1. I was sort of half expecting to see that car sort of over-rotate and end up backwards, but he kept it all on the straight and narrow. Great move by Benedictson, and that gives you so much confidence after you've pulled off one of those moves, especially with the format we've got, where we've got this 30-minute race coming up. If you sort of have, you know that you have that ability to do it, it just gives you so much confidence. But we're looking at the battle, and it's have to say that Torp here is really wanting that second place. Isaacson struggling a little bit on this lap. And what's going to happen is Pettersson dropped down to P9. Oh, and I thought Isaacson was going to sort of spin there. I think Isaacson really struggling with his tyre wear. And if you're Isaacson, you've got to be a little bit worried, because if the tyres are starting to go off around sort of minute 13 in race 1, you've got to do double the race distance in race 2. So, yeah, let's hope it's for his sake that it's not sort of tyre wear, it's more tyre temperature.
Isaacson using all of the track and some more there as the white flag flies here at COTA in race 1. 1 lap to go. Who's going to come out on top between Isaacson and Torp? This battle for second place, because Maya is pulling away. Well, I say that. These guys have taken a couple of attempts out of him in the second half of the last lap. This is not done and dusted. They know time's running out, the two IDL Coatings drivers. They need to be really pushing it to the max through here, but right on the limit, because if you just step over, this track bites, and it bites so hard. Because look, now Isaacson, he's got that gap down to 9 tenths, and it's just coming at the right time, because he needs to get to around about 8 tenths within Maya to be in slipstream range, though, and even then, he's going to have his work cut out. But I think Maya's just about found that slight edge through turns 9 and 10. because he's managed to extend that gap out, and now Isaacson needs to concentrate on Torp behind him, who you can bet at bottom dollar is got his foot right buried through the floor, tucked up in the slipstream. He heads to the inside. Is this going to be the change for P2? It is, and Torp finally finds a way past Isaacson. Something's happened to Benedictson. He's tumbling down the order. He's showing as being out there. So I'm not sure what's happened to him, but Torp's finally found a way past Isaacson. And this is just about closing it out now, Seb.
Is indeed. I don't think Isaacson fought too hardly with his teammate Torp there. I think it's sort of a bit pointless to be scrabbling over sort of second and third. Better just to get those points. And of course, race 2 coming up. But what a race from this man here, Anders Meyer. I mean, domination really started third, but really has made the most of it. And he's going to come across the line for an amazing win.
He does indeed. Meyer, wow, taking his maiden victory in the championship. Torp has to sell for second. Can't make it 3 wins in a row. Isaacson, well, one position down on his double second place last time out at Spa. So this is going right to the wire here, up and down the field. So many places still up for grabs. There's Ryan trying to hold off in his last couple of corners. Avisland, who's really pushing, moves right, looking for the undercut, and this might just work. He might have enough time, but and yes, he's done it, Seb. He's done it by 300ths of a second. Avisland nicks 13th place.
Wow, what quick thinking there from Avisland, just to sort of take that inside line and sort of dart towards the line. Great thinking from him. And any of the drivers behind him that sort of seen that will be thinking and sort of have that in their memory bank for race 2, because that certainly paid dividends for Avisland there.
Wow, what a race once you see Meyer there doing a few casual donuts to celebrate his victory. And as we head across into the next session now, what a race that was there, Seb.
What a race indeed. It had it all, didn't it, really? Race to the front. Yeah.
It did, and this just running through classified results quickly. So Meyer taking his first victory of the season. Torp in second, Isaacson third. I switch our same drivers on the podium as we had in race 1 last time out of Spa, as I mentioned, but in a different order. Larson, he came home 4th place with Ignium Motorsport driver Grebstad in 5th. Hendon is in 6th with his teammate Behrens just behind in 7th. Gullickson, wow, what looked like was going to be a bit of a comfortable 8th place in the end. Nielsen wasn't too far behind, but Gullickson in that crucial 8th place, that does mean that he will be starting from pole in race 2. Of course, our top 8, they are reversed to form the grid for race 2. Nielsen in 9th. Peterson for Grid Lad Sim Racing rounding out your top 10. Jessen Bracken in 11th with Theaton in 12th. And a bit of a gap, and wow, what a race to the line. Avisland just a nicking 13th place off Ryan at the line. 300th of a second was all that separated those two. Amazing stuff. Rue in 15th with Haraldson in 16th. Then we had Jensen in 17th with Ticatro in 18th place. Lofson and then Scarrett. Of course, that penalty and that obviously having to head to the pits really affecting him. Means he's all finishes in 20th, and that's where he'll be starting for race 2. He's going to have his work cut out if he wants a decent result in the second race. Jokkelsen in 21st with Asgrad in 22nd. There's Joachimsdotter. Haig being 24th on the last driver on the lead lap with Benedictson. Sorensen and Andreasen all 1 lap down to round out your field. Wow, Seb. Wow. I think it's, based on that one, I think it's take a deep breath, find a little moment of calm, ready to just, I think it's going to be all out once again, full of action and drama in race 2. But, I mean, it's going to be difficult for a few of our drivers out there, isn't it? I mean, Meyer, you know, got out early, in front early on, took control and headed off into the distance. Different story here, going to be starting down in 8th. Needs to get past Torp and Isaacson and get his way to the front. Has he got it within him? Or are we going to see a repeat of what happened at Spa, where just got caught out and a bit unlucky in traffic?
I think Meyer has proven that he is very good at overtaking. He managed to get past sort of everybody, in race 1, starting 4th. So he's definitely proven that he has the ability to overtake. But you're right, can he do that over the 30-minute race? And it's almost like not push. You've got to think about not pushing the tyres too much at the start of the race to sort of play the long game. And I think that's where Meyer sort of struggled at Spa. So let's see if he can learn for this race.
Well, let's sign up. So Gullickson, as mentioned, on pole with Behrens in second, Hendon and Grebstad on second row with Larson and Isaacson top, and then our race winner Meyer in 8th. Nielsen and Peterson take up to 7th with Jessenbach and Tvietzen in 12th. And then it's Afsland and Ryan up to 14th with Brew and Harrelson on the same row. Then Jensen and DeCatro with Loftus and Scarrett starting all the way down in 20th on the 10th row of the grid. Jokkelsen and Asgrad in 22nd. And Jokkumsdotter shares a row with Haig. And then Benediktsson, Sorensen and Andreasen rounds out your 27-car grid here. And here come the lights, and let's get ready to go racing for the second time in the circular record of the Americas in the Nordic F3 Championship, and we are away. And wow, Gullickson, despite starting in 8th, he's taking control early on, but it's going to get squeezed out here. Let's look at the start. I think that was Hendon there around the outside. Got the Torps dropping down. He's struggling early on. And Meyer already up 2 places into 6th and trying to make even further progress here. You see him just in that blue and white car there, surrounded by the green of the IGL Coatings drivers. But Meyer, he's cleared his 2 biggest rivals. Oh, Harrelson off track, and I think there was someone just wide there as well.
I think that was Haig. I think had some form of issue. Yeah.
Look at the time machines, makes sense.
There's certainly a kerfuffle in the background here. The number 37 car of Grebstad trying to go around the outside of Hendon. Grebstad had such an amazing start. It's almost too amazing, really, for him. He had sort of all the pace but nowhere to go. Oh, and there's an accident at turn 11, and there's a car up and over. And that looked fairly pedestrian, but a big incident there. That was Sorensen, and I think Jakob started involved in that. But yeah, go back to Grebstad. He's up into 3rd. He had such a good start. He had nowhere to go with it. He tried to go around the outside of everybody. Had to turn out at the last point because Gullickson and Behrens were fighting over who was going to go into turn 1 first. Great reaction from him. He's up to 3rd. He is certainly one to watch in this race.
Oh, Meyer under a lot of pressure right now from Isaacson. And that battle for 5th, Meyer's got past both of his competitors in these opening few corners. Exactly what he would have wanted, and now just needs to shake off the advances of Isaacson and get up onto the back of Hendon. He's in 4th, but Gullickson started on pole, still in 2nd, but Behrens, wow, a great start from him as well. As you said, Zeb, him and Gullickson were fighting it out into turn 1, and Behrens has buried the throttle and pulled out a 6/10 advantage in these opening stages as Grebstad just looking around the outside, looking for the cut down. Meyer trying to make a move on Hendon, just has to back out of it a little bit there. Needs to be careful because Isaacson is all over his gearbox now. He won't find a way through there, or maybe he will as they all sort of zip in together somehow and avoid one another. But Torp just seems to be sitting back and letting these two have a bit of a scrap and see what happens. Or at least that's how it comes across right now, Seb. We're stopping that number 41 F3.
I think he certainly is. Just sort of watching Meyer and Isaacson sort of battle it out ahead. This is what happened to Lasse Sorensen.
Sorensen running in incredibly deep there, and that's what happened. And then contact. Wow, she said for such a low impact, a low speed incident, sent flipping double somersault there, and. Well, not helping, but we're going to have 3 wide on the run down the back straight. Who's going to come out on top? Meyer looks like he's going to pick the pocket of Hendon and Grebstad in one go, but Grebstad is fighting back. He wants to keep hold. There's a spinner in the background. I think it was DeCatro there, but Meyer is desperately trying to find a way past Grebstad, and maybe he's just done it, but no, Grebstad fights back once again to head back up into 3rd. He's desperate to cling hold of this podium position. He doesn't want to let it go. But Hendon wants a piece of the action. He wants to get that place back. Maya, as they come through towards the final corner, we've got a big straight, a big braking area starting to come up towards us. And this is where we're going to find out who's going to be the last of the late breakers and how these lot are going to sort themselves out. Behrens and Gullikson are pulled away. We're on board with Hendon right now. That is Meyer ahead of us. And then we've got Grebstrad. You can just about make him out in the distance. Hendon fakes to the inside and then tucks back in once more. But amazingly, Seb, they all remain as they are. Somehow, as we just see Avisland here, I think is that the... No, that's just a defensive move as something's happened to Sorensen. He's crashed out. Well, I'm not sure how these lot have just managed to stay in the same position. They've all looked so aggressive against one another, and like there was just a move in the offing.
Yeah, certainly was. Very surprised that they all kept their positions. Hendon playing the long game and sort of sticking behind Meyer when they were sort of battling with Grebstad up ahead. But yes, it's certainly not over that for that battle for third place. Meyer there, crucially, has got Hendon in between him and his biggest rival, you have to say, Isaacson. And look for Thomas Torp. He was looking very feisty behind Isaacson. He's pulled back a little bit now as Jokkelsen goes down the inside of Tveiten. Sorry, that's Jokkelsen on Rue. Benediktsson now trying to get past Jokkelsen there. I think going to go 3 wide as we head into turn 2. And Isaacson has now gotten past Hendon. Oh, Isaacson's dropping down the field. I think he's got some form of issue.
Oh no, it's all gone wrong there for Isaacson. Something's happened to me. He's had a bit of an incident. Or maybe with Hendon, I would guess. I think he was battling out with him. Here comes the replay. This might show us. Yeah, there's Hendon in the 118 machine. Isaacson heads down to the inside. Oh, completely outbrakes himself. And thank goodness that is all tarmac there, Seb, rather than a gravel track, because otherwise that may well be a hop, skip and a jump and straight into the wall.
I think I completely agree with you on that. It's a good thing for Isaacson that we are at a more modern circuit. But yeah, I mean, you talk about sort of last of the late breakers. He almost broke so late he was going to end up in another state. So yeah, he's unusual to see a mistake from Isaacson like that. And he's certainly one to watch as the race goes on to see if he can sort of make it through the field. But interestingly, Grebstad in the third place, number 37 car, is actually starting to catch Gullikson and Behrens in the lead again. He sort of was dropped sort of around to the sort of 2.5 second mark off Behrens, but slowly every lap he's been sort of setting those faster and faster lap times. In fact, he set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. So Grebstad here really looking feisty for this race win. And it's amazing that he's been able to set the pace, because he's got race 1 winner right behind him of Meyer, and that does add a lot of pressure towards you. And look at this, he's got an absolutely amazing run on Gullikson.
Yes, indeed, and Grebstrad, where he's defending hard from Meyer, is now on the attack and getting the overspeed, the slingshot past Gullikson as we head down to turn 12. He's on the inside. It's Grebstrad, and the Ignium Motorsport driver has got himself up into second. Behrens still sitting pretty in the top, 1 and a bit seconds clear of these guys. It's all happening down the midfield, 2 wide, 3 wide, down to turn 12. And everyone breathe in, and somehow they all make it through. Tveiten there just losing out a little bit, but these two, they're at it last race, Amundsen and Ryan. And once again, they're at it again here. Oh, that's incredibly close to this contact. Oh, Avisland sent up into the air. I'm not sure whether he squeezed Ryan or Ryan squeezed his nose where it shouldn't have been. One thing for sure, Avisland definitely comes off the west between those two. As we see, ooh, Ryan just runs in. My good out to the grass, trying to sweep through, I think, and completely misjudged that one. As you said earlier, Seb, one mistake cost you dearly, and he's lost a ton of places there.
He has. Well, sort of 2 mistakes for Ryan involved with that. I think he sort of just broke a little bit too late. Was a little bit too optimistic in the braking zone of turn 15. I think it's sort of one of those accidents where, yes, maybe the other driver sort of cut across him just that little bit, but you should never really put your car in that position. I wonder if that second mistake was due to some damage. Ryan is now in the pit, but we ride on board with Gullickson under pressure from race winner Maya down towards turn 11. Can Maya go all the way around the outside, or will he cut back and try and get the better run out? And that's exactly what he does, and I think this is Maya up into third place, or at least it will be by the time they hit the brakes.
Maybe not, Seb, because Gullickson is going to be in the slipstream of Grebstrap, whereas Maya's having to punch his own hole in the air. So this could be a bit closer than what you think, but even so, Maya getting the move done. I'll tell you what, Hendon was making a pass on Torp potentially. No, Torp just getting ahead there. It did look like he was making good speed up the inside, but that's Maya up into third, pass dispatching of Gullickson. And now the hunt of Grebstrap begins for Maya. Now let's not forget as well, Seb, the drivers are fuel limited. They will have to take a pit stop. Now, the pit stops did play a bit of a part of the story as Benedictson takes a spin and whereabouts is... Oh, wow. Oh, threading the eye. I think it's turn 12, I think it is, isn't it?
Turn 15, we're just before that sort of Turkey-inspired triple right-hander even. Yeah, Benedictson there, incredibly lucky to not be involved in some form of incident being taken out. I think that was just sort of a plain old spin. And yeah, you know, as I said earlier, these mistakes do cost you, especially with the fact that the race is so long. 30 minutes will impact your tyre wear. You've put in more heat through the tyres than you'd necessarily want. But I mean, the flip side of that is that we do have a longer race here, and you can sort of come back from these mistakes, and that is Benedictson there immediately getting to work down the inside of Andreasen, the number 7, 8, 9 car. So he is up into 17th place, right behind Rao in 16th, and he's going to go down the inside into turn 3. That'll be a great move if he can make it done, and he certainly does, and that's brave from Benedictson. Clearly got the bit between his teeth after that mistake.
That definitely looks that way, doesn't he? And it's got about a couple of seconds to make up to get onto the back of Tvitan. But right now, Grebstrad talking about getting onto the back. He's got Maya hooked up right into the back of him, and surely this has got to be Maya up into second. He pulls out in the slipstream and slots it up the inside. Move turn up into second, head of Grebstrad. And now becomes the hard craft. Catch up to Behrens, who's pulled out nearly 1.5 second advantage over this battling pack as Grebstrad just locks up the front left corner there. The Ignia Motorsport driver going to get away with that one. Gullickson wasn't close enough to take advantage. But yeah, pit stop said we started talking about them, and it all started kicking off once again. Played a little bit of the part of the storyline last time out in race 2. I mean, one of the potential options for the drivers, obviously with such high track temperatures, track temperature here is in the 40 degrees. Let's just have a little, it has come down a bit, it's down to 39 degrees Celsius, 24 degrees ambient temperature. So, I mean, potentially, Seb, do you, when you pit for fuel, take on tyres knowing that you'll have, much cooler ones, tyres that haven't been overworked, and go for a complete and, just really, really push hard and aggressively, potentially? Or that does come with a bit of a time penalty? Or do you just, continue on with what you've got and not run that risk of losing that time due to the tyre change? It's a tricky conundrum right now that I think is going to start to go through one of a few of our drivers' heads, maybe.
I think you're right. I think it's a really interesting point, and I'd be surprised if nobody on the grid sort of tries that strategy just to see. I mean, we can sort of look at sort of Formula 2 when they have these sprint races where you do, we see some drivers sort of take tyres when you don't normally have to, and they sort of have that pace difference and they can come through the field. And to sort of play devil's advocate, it is easier to overtake here, so is potentially, as Isaacson proves very nicely there, getting by Jemson back up for 8th position. So I'd be certainly surprised if nobody sort of decided to sort of take that gamble and take some fresh boots of, some fresh rubber. I don't think we'll see sort of the top sort of 5. I reckon Isaacson might be the driver to sort of have a little bit of a gamble. But that's just an uneducated guess from my side. We'll of course have to see. But you're right, the pit stops did play a huge huge factor in Spa, and it really came down to who could extend their fuel just a few more laps and run on that lower fuel for longer.
Glux is in. He's the first driver to head to the pits. And Nielsen, he's followed him in as well. Be interested to see what does Gullickson do here. He's stuck in that pack there. Does he go for fuel only, consolidate? No, that's taking tyres, isn't it? Said the car is up in the air. Clearly listening to us there. Nielsen, he's stopped and he's just doing fuel by the looks of things. Yeah, that car is firmly parted to the ground. And I mean, it's about, in terms of a difference of time, you're talking about 1.3 seconds difference. Now that's, yes, it's not a lot of time, but with just how tight some of these battles are, that could prove to be so crucial. As we see Benedictson here, it's coming into the final couple of corners, and around he goes, and that's a big impact. And that looks like broken suspension even maybe there, Seb, I think.
Oh, I think it was more than broken suspension. I think he had no rear end on that car, and that's probably race over for Benedictson. He was almost taking the IndyCar line into turn 19. I think Pettersson up ahead of him disconnected there for a split second. Pettersson's, I think he's been having a few internet issues and sort of been disappearing, and it's so distracting for the car behind. Is actually, yeah, Pettersson there, who we just see ahead of this battle. It was showing on my screen that he had no rear wheel, but I assure you, he is still driving and everything is attached to that car. But yes, 1.3 seconds, the difference between, who is it? It was Gullickson and the
Nielsen,
thank you very much. Yeah, it wasn't as big of a delta. I don't think Gullickson took full tyres. I think he probably changed 1 or 2 tyres, because I would have thought it would have taken him a little bit longer than that to change all 4 corners, but that's going to be such an interesting dynamic to this race. And what's great is,
I'll tell you what's interesting, Seb. Look at Behrens. He's just been chipping away quietly. Well, I mean, you know, talking about other stuff. I mean, that lap alone, he took half a second nearly out of Behrens. And now he's well within slipstream range. He's dropped Gredstad like a stone. 2 seconds he's already managed to pull out on him pretty much in the last couple of laps, to be fair. And this is game on for the lead. Behrens has just been, you know, he's had the world to himself out in front since lap 1. And we're now on lap 9. And now all of a sudden, he's got something to think about. And he's going to have surely been watching his delta, seeing Behrens catch up. And this is where he could be in a whole world of pain. Behrens already sneaking up the outside, Mao sneaking up the inside there. Behrens just running the car across to the left. He's squeezing Meyer to the max. He doesn't want to let go of this first place, but it almost seems inevitable, because here comes Meyer storming past like a freight train down to turn 12. Behrens runs it in deep, and he's going to get him on the switchback there. He moved right out to really open up the corner, and it's worked to treat. Meyer outbreaks himself, and all that hard work is undone. And what that's now meant as well, Seb, is Gredstad and Torque have closed right in where these two are falling over one another towards a 2-way battle for the lead. If these top 2 aren't careful, this is going to end up being a 4-way fight. Both of them could be in a whole world of pain incredibly quickly, because Torp is in amongst that following pair with Grebstrad, and Torp is no slouch, and he'll want redemption from Meyer after that first race. He'll want to beat him.
He certainly will. Yes, this is getting very close for the top 2. I think Meyer almost needs to sit behind Behrens until the pit stops. No, Meyer round the outside into turn 1, side by side with Behrens, and they're going to go side by side on the exit. Wow, what incredible racing. Meyer just gets the upper hand there, and he is your new race leader.
Wow, we've seen that work though before earlier on in race 1, round the outside. Stables carry that bit more momentum and a bit more speed, and making that work to effect. Also, Torp has got past Grebstrad. He's not hanging around. He doesn't want to lose these two, as he's been gifted the opportunity of the gap shrinking so much where they were squabbling down at 12 on the last lap. But who's going to blink first after this group? Who's going to head to the pits first? Or will they even all come in together? Maya, you bet your bottom dollar will be making light work of this low fuel load to extend that gap out as he moves around to break the slipstream, but the whole following pack all follows him along like a slithering snake down the back straight. But it hasn't made any overall major difference. And if anything, I tell you what, Maya, he's pulling away from Behrens. He is looking absolutely electric out of turn 11.
Yeah, he is indeed. Sorry, just looking at my timing stands there. Just trying to work out who's taken tyres and who hasn't. But Maya, I think, has just managed to keep his tyres in such better condition. He has so much traction out of turn 11, which is so crucial, as we see Isaacson recovering after that spin early on. That wasn't a spin, was it? It was outbraking himself, actually, at that very corner there. But yeah, Maya, how has he managed to keep his tyres in such good conditions? That's Behrens pulling off into the pit lane, and I would be very surprised if we don't see him take tyres, because that car looked very, very loose. And talking of loose, Hendon there almost stacked it into the pit lane wall, which I have never done any at all during my practice here.
I get the feeling, if I missed the memo today, opposite day, Seb, I'm guessing. But yeah, as you say, we've also got Jokkelson. He's headed in as well. For the drivers that have pitted so far, Isaacson is technically top as Behrens is still stationary, Seb. Has he picked up some damage that we haven't spotted somewhere? He's still stationary. He's not moving. And this is surely going to end his chance of a victory. He's looking down and out. Isaacson is out, who's already pitted. He's come out actually ahead of Hendon. That's a great drive from him. Great bit of strategy. And Behrens, well, he's down and out, surely.
I think he is. That might explain why his pace wasn't as good as it was early
in the
on.
background. That was, I think it was like Shettle Larson. Yes, it was. He's just lost it out of the final corner, and he's yet to pit. Clearly, those tyres are starting to come to the end of their life. That's not going to help him whatsoever, because he was actually, I think he was ahead of Gessenbacher, who's currently in 4th place right now. But these two, they've just pitted. Gullickson and Hendon, they've already had a scrap in the opening stages, and they're at it once more. Hendon, well, just defending, his position there. Keeps hold of it for now, but Gullickson is definitely on the attack and wants to get past Hendon. But yeah, a great bit of strategy from Isaacson. Oh, Maya and Torp there in. Grebstrad as well. Pretty much reaching the end of the pit window here.
Yeah, I think everybody is going to be in the pit. There's going to be a race in the pit lane.
There you go. As you say, it's Gessenbacher and Larson pop in as well. That would get to find out the strategies. Who is doing what? Well, Maya, no tyres for him. Likewise for Torp and Grebstrad. They're going to remain as they are, but where is Isaacson? I think he's too far back, Seb. I think he definitely is. Although he's managed to get himself up into 4th. It's a great bit of strategy from him. He looked completely and utterly down and out.
I mean, he was. I mean, if he didn't make that mistake, I mean, he'd be easily in the lead at this point. I mean, his pace has been pretty electric so far, and you certainly still want to watch. 8 minutes to go in this race. 5 seconds towards the leader. It's a tall order, but Isaacson has proven that he has some form of outstanding pace today as we're watching this battle between Gullickson and Hendon. Of course, we know that Gullickson at least took some new tyres. Not sure where, but he definitely did take some tyres, and I'm not sure if Hendon did. So that could sort of play into the dynamics of this battle for 5th place. But what a race from Maya. Started down in 8th, up into 1st with Thomas Torp behind him. But, I mean, he's in a perfect position. 1.4 seconds separating the top 2. And this is exactly what you want if you're Maya. He's going to do exactly what Thomas Torp did in race 1. In round 1, at least, as it stands. And to get both the sprint race and the feature race win. And, of course, I've just put the commentator's curse on it. So I do apologise there to Maya. Shouldn't have said anything.
I had a cracking one with one of our commentators, Sam Fitzpatrick, the other day, where he uncursed the curse magically. As we see Scarrett heading up the hill to catch her. Wow. Wow. Loses the rear, just locks it up on corner entry and nearly skittles into Scarrett. Just about missed hit by, well, cigarette paper margins there. But yeah, somehow magically we're recovering. I'm trying to think what we were recovering. It was at Barber Motorsport Park the other day, and yeah, Sam magically managed to undo the commentator's curse. It was spectacular, but yeah, I say Maya leaves. We've got just under 6 minutes remaining here in race 2 at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, as Barron's on the recovery after that long pit stop. The catch-all, he's into the pits again. Well, Joachim's daughter hadn't taken to the pits yet. She's really managed to extend things out. Going all the way on to lap 12, longer than anyone else. A great move there by the Icelandic driver. That's Kjetil Larsen, and he is no more. What has happened there? We can't come to it. He's missing both rear wheels.
It's going to be quite a high-speed accident if it's in this part of the track. So this is sort of turn 5 and 6.
Oh, wow.
Was that a lapped car, or was he racing that car? I didn't quite catch the number of the car that he collided with, but that's a huge accident for Larsen, and he was doing a pretty good job as Hendon. Oh, Torp's dropping down the field. Torp is out.
He's gone. He's had an incident somewhere. Oh no, to the number 40 IGL Coatings drivers in the pits with damage. So this is Torp with the 37 car there of Grebstrad. Grebstrad's got the move done. He's up the inside, and okay, so Torp loses the rear end, not the end. Oh no! On blue with his teammate. That's Isaacson.
What? I'm speechless of what has happened to Isaacson. He had such a good race one, had such a good recovery drive, and it's all undone by colliding with his teammate. Torp and Isaacson come together at the most unlikely of places. I mean, they haven't really even shared a racetrack for quite some time, and that's Isaacson in the pits with damage there, and that's certainly how you don't want your front wing to look. That's going to take some time to repair, although the drivers do have a fast repair. I'm not sure if Isaacson is Isaacson has already used that earlier on, but absolute drama happening for the IGL Coatings drivers. I mean, we have a lot of them in the field, but it's certainly not a good lap for them.
Wow, it's just the space of one lap. It's all happened for them, but we've got not many minutes left here remaining. We're already 26.5 minutes and 14 laps into race 2. Meyer leads from Grebstrad. Hendon occupying the last podium position. Gullikson in 4th. Jessenbakken in 5th. Nielsen, Scarrett, Jokkelson, Isaacson and Peterson rounding out your top 10, although Jakob Barons is not far behind the top 10, and just about enough time to maybe squeeze inside that one. That's going to be an interesting one, but, well, he looks like an F1 driver, you know, he looks like Bottas, and it's been an F1 style performance here, clinical by no stretch of the imagination. Just needs to just bring it home. 3.6 seconds over Grebstrad, as long as he can keep it out of the wall and on the track. This is surely going to be a double race victory and a lockout here for Meyer.
I think it certainly is, and he's seen his two main rivals actually come together at turn 12. I'm sure he's not aware of that as of now, but he's aware that he has got quite a substantial gap to Grebstrad. I mean, 3.7 seconds is a lot, but almost 11.2, almost 12 seconds to Hendon in 3rd. So he can really dial back his pace and cruise around here, and this can be some of the most enjoyable and fun laps he's ever done at COTA. But he has certainly been in a league of his own tonight. But yeah, I mean, I still can't get over Torp and Isaacson coming together. Isaacson, though, managed to get out in 9th place, as that's certainly not what you want to do to your car.
Wow, my heart was in my stomach then for a moment there, Seb, because just saw him bumble across the curb, and I thought, no, this could be all undone in the blink of an eye, but by getting away with one there, well and truly. Now, according to our software, Seb, it's always the best for, you know, picking up off tracks, but he could be close to incurring a penalty, Maya. That's, I imagine he'll be playing it definitely very, very safe. Doesn't need to. I mean, he's got the fastest lap of the race. One of only two. Excuse me, one of only 2 drivers in the 1 minute 50. So 3 drivers in the 1 minute 56s. There's himself, Isaacson, who we've seen has had a torrid afternoon. And Grebstrad being the other one, currently in second place is Grebstrad.
Joachim's stuff there.
Yes. Now, she pitted really, really late and is back in the pits once more. This, is that... No, because they pick up a drive-through penalty, don't they? So that's not to serve a penalty, I don't think.
It's got to be damage, isn't it? Or something like that, because you're right. If it was a drive-through, which of course we're getting to that time where we might sort of encounter those, is I think Maya here is going to come round to receive the white flag. So this is his final racing lap here. And yeah, I think for Joachim Stotter, that's either a bit of damage or she didn't put enough fuel in, which will be pretty disastrous. But I think I'm safe to say it's probably more the damage option.
As I say, the white flag flies. 1 lap here remaining of round 2, the Nordic F3 Championship. And Maya sitting pretty at the top, but this last place on the podium, it is not done and dusted by the extraction of the man nation. Hendon leads Gullickson by 3/10 for third.
Gullickson was 4/10 quicker on that last lap. Gullickson does have those new tyres. He can push to the absolute nth degree. Hendon is nursing those tyres towards the end. This is a battle that is certainly going to go down to the wire. Of course, we saw, can't remember who it was, but that move on the last lap at the last corner, sort of gaining the inside line in that drag race towards the line. We saw that for 13th place in race 1. Will we see it for 3rd place in race 2?
Well, I get the feeling we're going to hear Seb because... Peterson in the pits as well. That's probably going to be for a drive-through penalty. Yeah, that's very much looking that way. He's on the exit now. Back off racing once more, but Hendon moving around, desperate to break the slipstream. But Gullickson's having none of it. They jinx left, they jinx right, they jinx left again. But here comes Gullickson up the inside. You need to be careful. This could end up in absolute disaster. But Hendon sends right round to the outside. We've seen this work, the switch back, but he just loses the rear end. And Gullickson takes third, but Hendon just squabbling back, just getting his nose up the inside where it's not wanted. And Gullickson has to defend here. Hendon just taking the much wider lines and swooping through, carrying more and more momentum and squeezing up onto the back of Gullickson. But Maya has 1 corner left, and this is going to make it 2 wins from 2 races here at the Circuit of the Americas. He is your race victor. And Grebstrad takes second, but first not done and dusted because Hendon's fighting right to the line. He's heading up the inside, and surely that's going to get him up. I know Gullickson! He just gets him on the switchback where Hendon locks up and understeers into the corner. And somehow, Halvor Gullickson holds on to the bronze medal and 3rd place. Wow, Seb, wow. And we're still not done further down the field. And this is Isaacson just getting the nudge from... Scarrett getting the nudge from Jokkelsen behind there.
Isaacson had an amazing final lap. He started the lap in 9th, finishes 7th, so he is certainly the man on a mission today after having those 2 incidents. I think it's a race of what could have been for Isaacson, and yeah, I think if you're Hendon, you had no other option than to send it down the inside of turn 20. I'm amazed he even managed to get it slowed down enough to turn in. That was so late. And Maya, once again, doing some more donuts. Certainly deserves to do some of those. He has been in a league of his own, and he's just been so consistent today.
He has indeed. Some donuts in arguably the home and the land of the donuts in here in America, and wow, that is going to feel a big relief to him with those 2 victories, and really going to help him out as well with his 2 nearest competitors in the finals, like Torp and Isaacson. Well, finishing well. Isaacson 7th in the end, Torp 25th due to that retirement in race 2. Not good for him whatsoever. Just waiting for the last, I think the last few drivers to head across the line and be able to bring you results there. Just waiting on Jensen, Ryan, and I think even maybe Larson potentially. Head across the line, then we'll be able to bring you up some classified results. But, well, Seb, wow. I'll tell you what, well, we'll just, there we go. We've got them up now. We'll be chatting to race victor, well, double race victor Anders Meyer very shortly, just after the results. Hakan Grebstad finishes in second with Gullikson in third after starting on pole. Hendon narrowly finishes in fourth in the end with Yestenbracken. A great result for him in fifth. Nielsen sixth. Isaacson, as Seb said earlier, if he hadn't have had those mistakes and issues, where could he have finished? I think definitely he would have been taking the fight to Meyer. Isaacson, seventh here. Scarra, eighth. Jokkelson, ninth with Berends, running out the top 10. That long pit stop costing him so dearly. Andreasen, 11th with Theaton in 12th. Rue, 13th. Then Haraldson. And then the two Grid Lads Sim Racing drivers, Peterson and De Quattrol, in 15th and 16th, respectively. Benedictson in 17th, and Hal Racing driver Joachimsdotter, the Icelandic driver, finishing in 18th, with Loftus in 19th, and Eric Jensen rounding out your top 20. Ryan, he was in 21st for Team Slono, with Haig in 22nd. And then one lap down, we had Larson and Asgard. And then retirements. We lost Torp 3 laps ago, Avitsland 5 laps ago. And then pretty much on the opening lap, we lost Sorensen. Well, let's have a little chat to our double race victor here today at the Circuits of America. Congratulations, Anders Meyer. Wow, what a relief that must feel for you, the double victory.
Yeah, that felt good. I had a really tough race at Spa, so doing good here was I didn't know what to expect because I haven't seen any of the other lap times, and I know the IGL guys are really good in the Formula 3, so I didn't know what to expect. It's not really my favorite track either, but today it felt good, so I'm relieved. I'm really happy.
Right, I think possibly after this double victory, it could become one of your more favoured tracks potentially after that nice memory that it's bringing to you. I mean, race 2, of course, you know, the win from race 1 meant you had to start from 8th. You're right in the middle of the pack. It looked incredibly busy in there. I mean, just how much of a relief was it for you that you managed to get past both Torp and Isaacson in those very opening stages?
That made me feel comfortable for the rest of the race because, you know, it's really hectic in the beginning. So I just tried to gain as much as I could. And I saw that Isaacson and Torp, and they dropped a bit back. So I could look forward, try to manage the tires because the rear right tire gets really worn out on this track. So I saw the other guys around me sliding a lot. So I was just patient and trying to save my tires as good as I could.
Well, yeah, because we saw a few of the drivers elect. We were talking about it, you know, during race 2, whether some, you know, it was open as a potential to take tires at the pit stop. We saw some drivers do it. Obviously, we spotted that you elected to remain on the same tires. I mean, do you think that's what carried you to victory here?
It's hard to say. You know, I could have had more pace earlier in the race if I had pushed more, but then again, my tires would probably had to been changed because when I did practice a couple of days ago, I saw that the tire wear were really high, and I was down at like 30% of tire after only half a race distance. But it was a bit cooler today than on that practice, so I managed to. It was easier to make the tires stay alive, so I chose not to do it in the race and just. Hope that was the best option, and I think it was for me at least.
No problem. So before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all, Anders?
Obviously, I want to give a shout out to my team members. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, CarX.no and KTM. And big thank you to the organizers of this series. It's a really fun series, and of course, thank you to all of you in the broadcast.
No problem at all. An absolute pleasure and congratulations, Anders Meyer. 2 victories from 2 races here at the Circuit of Americas in round 2. Now, Seb, I believe that you're standing by with 3rd place finisher Gullikson.
I am indeedy. Welcome to the commentary box.
Thank you. First time.
Well, great race from you, finishing third with that great move on the last lap. Sort of talk us through your feelings as you sort of headed into that final lap.
Well, I just pray to God that he did a mistake, but he drove very, very well. And yeah, just try to maintain good speed, but my rear tires was completely gone. So it was very, very hard to drive.
Yeah, we were talking to the race winner who was saying that he had to do a lot of management in the opening sort of stage of the race to make them last for the entirety. Did you sort of do the same, or do you sort of regret not sort of saving the tires in the first sort of half of the race?
I regret, but I also changed the tires on the pit stop, but it didn't help. It was 5 laps and the tires was gone again. So very, very hard race.
Interesting. Did you change all of them? Because we're having a debate, because it was a very quick pit stop from you.
Yes, I changed all of them.
Ah, interesting. It's good information for us in the commentary box.
Yeah.
So yeah, very yeah, so even with the tire change, you still struggled with the tires. So you started, of course, on pole for race 2. Were you sort of there at the start thinking, I can win this race, or were you like, if
No.
I can get a podium, I'm really happy?
Oh, I knew I didn't stand a chance because the IGL guys, they are really, really fast. They have good setups and they are great drivers. So I just wanted to try to do the best I could. Yeah.
And do you feel that you've achieved that after the race?
Yeah, I was lucky, of course. I know Isaksen and Skare, I think, maybe crashed in the 2 last laps or something. So yeah, but if I went on P5 or P4 or P3, of course, very, very happy.
Well, I mean, you drove really good and you had that sort of that great race, as I was mentioning on the last lap, to take the 3rd position. So great race from you. Is there anybody you sort of like to shout out after that race result?
Of course, congratulations to Anders and Håkon on the 2nd place. And great last laps with Christian Henden. I did a mistake on the 2nd last corner, and he did a small mistake on the last corner, so that was fun.
It certainly looked fun out there. Congratulations
Thank
for
you.
your 3rd place, and look forward to seeing you at the next round.
Thank you.
Well, Seb, good to hear from some of our drivers there, and interesting the different strategies that they applied and what was going through their heads, and especially with these such high track temperatures. I mean, this spot was really starting to drop off towards the end. Of course, sort of local time, we're just sort of finishing up now at around about 4:30 local time. But yeah, I mean, these hot track temperatures, I mean, over 40 degrees was really playing havoc. And I think that's maybe just those cooling temperatures is why some of the drivers elected to stay out on those tyres.
Yeah, really interesting actually to hear from Gullikson in 3rd, saying that it didn't take too long to replace the tyres, to replace all 4 of them. So I'm kind of surprised that the drivers didn't change the tyres anyway, even as an insurance policy. But yeah, I think the cooler temperatures, as Anders was saying, did sort of play into that decision making. But I mean, of course, we're in the world of sim racing. We don't, have drivers don't have other team members sort of talking them through and looking at a block of data, working out the best strategy. Everybody's having to think on the fly, and it makes it really difficult. And Anders, was talking about, it's almost like he's filing his tax returns. He was thinking of so much, and he was the quickest on track and won the race. So what a race from him, really.
Definitely, and bit of a different circuit next time, much shorter in terms of track length. Interlagos, big open track, plenty of overtaking opportunities, fast, furious circuit. A very different challenge for the drivers.
It really is. I mean, we've been to these sort of 2 really slipstream dominated tracks, so to go to one that isn't so much for the next race is certainly going to be interesting. Interlagos, you're looking at probably a high downforce setup. Of course, you've got the run down towards the center S's. in turn 1 and 2, where you will have overtaking, but again, we're going to have another track that's going to be very hot. Of course, it's in the southern hemisphere, so it's still pretty hot there, and yeah, we're going to have hot temps and a lot of tire management. It's again, I mean, we've had great racing at COTA, and yeah, it's certainly one to tune in for.
Definitely is indeed. And talking about tuning in, coming up on the channel in a couple of days' time, it's the Apex Racing Academy F3 VRS Super Series from Imola, which I believe you're back in the commentary box for that one, aren't you, Seb, from 8 PM GMT. Then we've got the Finding Speed F3 League. That's starting at 8:45 from Road America, followed by the end of the triple header. I'll be back in the commentary box for the Formula 3.5 Championship from Montreal. And then Sunday, well, it's another triple header on the channel with the Champion Motorsports iRacing Team Endurance Round 6 at Road America. That's kicking things off at 4:30 GMT. Then the SRF Weekend Warriors there at Summit Point from 9 PM. Then for those you like to stay up to the small hours, it's the 1 AM GMT. It's the XSLR Dirt Midget Series round 15 from Lernerville. I'll be back in the commentary box for that one, and well, that's one really to watch out for. It's an absolutely epic series and fantastic racing. But wow, what two absolutely very interesting races, packed full to the brim with excitement, action, all at the points where we said, you know, into turn 1 and of course into turn 12 as well after that long back straight. But it's going to be interesting to see, you know, are we going to see another driver make it win both the races, or are Torp and Meyer potentially going to continue on their dominance in this championship? Find out in 2 weeks' time when we head to Interlagos.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.